Hi guys, this is Joseph from Jouleconcepts. How is everything with you guys? I'm sorry for being away for quite a while again. It's because of my schedule. I've been really busy with work and physical training, so that's why I've been offline lately. But I hope to get back really soon. So today's video is quite different from what I used to post because this is a new software and also a different field. So this is our architectural visualization using 3D Max and Corona Renderer. So it's actually a recording section for my students. So I already asked for permission to share this and he agreed. So which is why I'm sharing this. So I thought that this is something someone out there can learn from. So that's why I'm sharing this. So this video is just about texturing the floor, not any other thing, but just texturing the floor, the techniques that we use in texturing the floor. So there's a lot to learn in this video. And also as a bonus to this video, I touched a little bit of lighting using the IS light profiles and some other things which I feel you will really learn from. So I would implore you to please watch this video to the end. And also if you know of a friend or someone who is into architectural visualization that you feel this might be helpful to, you could just tag them in on this video and let's just get into it. All right, so I did a video or recording, but the audio was really bad, so I have to just quickly redo the video. All right, so this is the scene I'm going to be working with. And you can see it's a very simple scene. It's just my sitting room here, and that's what I'm trying to use to explain to you. All right, I already have a floor, so I'm going to get rid of this floor, and I've textured every other part, so I'll just use this to explain that. Use this floor. So if I hit M on my keyboard, every other setting has been done, so I don't need to do that. So I'll just create a new material and drag that material over there, but let me just make it create a Corona legacy material. Now call this floor 1. I'm going to drag that floor 1 over here, so it's going to override that. So that is the first thing I'm going to do. So the other thing is I already add UV map to this floor, so let me just get rid of that UV map so that I'll start from scratch. Okay, so this is where we are. I've already added this. So the first thing is, you know that you already know this, changing this color will affect that, but we don't want to change colors. What we want to do is we want to use map. So I already have the wooden map, so I just click on the map right here. Once I click there, I will go into the map section. I'll go to twirl down this journey. I'll go to Corona and Corona bitmap. So it's going to take me into this where I'm going to load the bitmap. So the bitmap is already in this project folder, so I'll just pick this bitmap and that is it. So I'll pick this one, which is this wood material, and I'm going to OK that. And that wood bitmap will come up here, but now it's not showing here. The reason is because I need to force it to show because it's shader. So if I click here and then it shows. So a couple of things you notice is that the pattern looks really small. All right, the pattern is really small, so I need to work on this pattern, which is where the UV map comes in place. So that's what I deleted just now. So what I'll do is I'll just come here, type UVW, you see UVW map, and it's going to add that. So automatically once it adds that, it's going to map this and make it really large. But then what I want to do is this is a plain object, it's floor, so really I'm not really showing the edges of it, so there is no point making it a box. So what I just want to do is I want to scale down this pattern. This texture looks too big on it. So if I click on the arrow beside UV map, click on the gizmo, it's going to show me this gizmo pivot modifier. So what I'll do is I'm going to go to scale because I want to scale this down. So I'll click on scale, then I can just scale this from here. So what I'm doing is I'm now eyeballing to see the actual size that I want. So you just look at the size to what you really like, and then you can just go with that. So I'll scale this down. Let's say somewhere here. I'm quite not liking the way it's looking here. So let's see if I change this to box. Does it change anything? No, it doesn't change anything. Face, nope. Okay, so XY to UVW. So let's see what this does. So you notice it doesn't have any impact. So I'm just going to change that to planar and scale this down again. So I feel it's because of my position where I am, that is why it's looking that way. If I come here, it will look better. You can see that. So that's why. So I'll hit Shift Z to take me back to that position. So it's because where I am, that's why that place looks distorted. So I'm going to click on Gizmo to go out. I think I like it this way. And I'm sure you know you can rotate this if you want to rotate the pattern. So just change it to rotation while you're in Gizmo. So I'll click here, go out, and now I have this set. So I think this is where I need to now start rendering to see the outputs. All right. So I will zoom in somewhere here, just a little bit of orbiting, because what I want to really show is the floor. So I'm going to go into my render setting. I don't want to use large resolution because I'm doing tests. So okay, this is fine. 800 by 480 is 450 is fine. So I'll just go with that. Then I'll click on render to picture viewer. This. So once I click render to picture viewer, it's going to bring up the VDB. I can minimize that, then bring this to the side. Then we have that rendering. So it's going to start rendering now. Just need to wait for it to calculate. So because I already have a region set before I started recording this, so it's coming up. So I'm just going to close down the region so that it's run everything. Okay, so you're seeing the pattern. Everything is let me just do, I don't want to show everything. Okay, I'll just do somewhere here so that it doesn't calculate all these ones that I don't need. It just calculates for this. So while this is rendering, you can see the pattern, everything is fine as I want, but the thing is not reflective, so which is where we have to come down, go back to parent, and then introduce reflection. So if I bring the reflection up to 1, you're going to start to see that it's now really reflective, and the reflection is really defined. So what I need to do is I need to break down this reflection by using the glossiness. All right, so sorry, my laptop is what I'm using. Desktop hasn't taken sorry, 3D Expand. So you can see the reflection is really shiny. So I can break down the reflection by bringing the glossiness value down. So if I bring it to somewhat 0.8, you're going to see that the definition is going to be reduced and more it looks more brushed, so to say, than it being shiny the way you're seeing now. But I do not want to use this value to drive the glossiness. What I want to use is I want to use a map that also comes with the texture kit, because I know that glossiness comes with it. So instead of me using a value, I can just use that map. So that's been recorded or stored into the image texture. So let me just go and use that. So while this is loading, you can see what that gives us. So I'll just click on the button beside the glossiness. Click here. And it's going to take me here. So I want to bring in Corona bitmap. And for your glossiness, it uses grayscale value. But if you remember what I told you in the class, we talked about the difference between glossiness and roughness, because sometimes you might not get glossiness map, you will be getting a roughness map. So uh, you won't say because roughness you are not going to use it. You can use them in actual sense. They are just inverse of the other. So, and usually, like I told you, glossiness always tends to being a light feel, gives you a light grayish value, while roughness gives you darker shades of gray. So what that means is that for glossiness, when you get to being a lighter gray, you get to have a brushed surface. If you have pure white, it's going to be really shiny like we had before. But if you come to black, it becomes matte. All right. So that's for glossiness. While for roughness, black means shininess, and the more you go towards white part, the more it becomes matte. So this is the map for the, if you see it reads roughness, but then you can just click on the roughness value or map and load this. Once I load this, it will not change what we have. It's still going to look matte. The reason is because we are loading the roughness map into the glossiness, and I told you that they are inverse. So glossiness means when you have a darker shade, it's going to be matte. So we need to look for a way to brighten it up so that we have that shininess effect. Do you understand the brushed effect? You can start to see what's happening. So we are already in this roughness map. So if I scroll down this corona bitmap, I want to go to the output. Now I have option to invert. So once I click on invert, it's going to invert that and it becomes shiny. Then from there, we can now start tweaking the effect of shininess that we already have here by using the enable color map. Okay, so let's just wait for it. You can see that it's really shiny. Then we can use this to remap that. So for me to use this graph, I will just have to enable this. Once I enable this, you notice there's a color code under it. You have the black and you have the white. Remember, for roughness, sorry, for glossiness, black will make it matte, while white will make it really shiny. So it's going from black to 100% white. So that's why it's really shiny. So I don't want to get to 100% white. I want to come off white so that it brushes it off a little bit. So if I bring this white a little bit down, you start to see that this surface will, the definition of the reflection will have been a little bit lost and will look more brushed. The surface of that floor will look more brushed. Just wait for it. So load. Oh. Okay, so I will just start tweaking this value to get that shade. So I'm bringing this also up. I'm bringing this down just so I can have more of this grayish tint. So let's see what happens. Again. So I think there's a change in it. You're already seeing from the pre-rendering. And so you could actually use this to remap your glossy effect. I can even see it from this from the preview. So if I really want to show the preview, I can just double click on this preview. That's going to load this out in large size. Then we can see what it's going to look like. So I feel that this is too, you can see it is too brushed. I still want to have a little bit of reflection. So what I'll do is I'll come here. So instead of me going, so let me just close this. Instead of me going too whitish, I want to bring this up a little bit. Sorry, instead of me coming black, I want to bring them all the way up. Bring both of them. So I enlarge both of them as this, and then move them up together. So while I'm moving this up, it's going to make them more shiny. than being brushed, but I don't want them to be 100% shiny. So just to have that definition of the wall here, you notice there's a wall here, you should define that wall. And the furniture you have here, I also want to have the reflection on the floor. I don't want that too brushed surface, so I just wait for it. Mhm. So just bear with this. Okay, so I'm going to see that oh, it's even more brushed, and I feel it's because we already have invert selected. Remember, I click on that invert, so it's making it more brushed than we had before. So instead of us bringing it close to the white, let's bring it close to the black part. So I'll just highlight again. I can close this. So I'll just highlight these guys again and bring them close to black, or bring them close to 0, so to say, and also bring this also down. So it looks a bit shiny, but not totally. And this should change the look. You can already see from the preview. You can already see from here. So we actually do not need to. Let me just stop this. Let me stop this. So you can see from here, and that looks a lot better. And we're going to look at everything together. All right. So after that, the next thing you want to do is I can just go out by clicking on this go to parent. And we are having, let me just, let's okay, so it's rendering. So while this is rendering, you can see, oh, this is exactly what I want. I want it to be not too brushed, still have a definition of the wall. You can see that the wall is here. If I bring this up, you can even see the reflection of this guy on this floor here. And that's what I'm looking at. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to even drive this texture more by adding some detail. You know, this wood pattern should have detail. All this section we have in the horizontal and vertical linings, it should have detail showing. So for me to have that detail showing, there are two maps we can use. You can either use the bump map or the normal map. So bump map is also a grayscale value. So when I say grayscale value, I'm talking about black and white and gray. So, so the way that works is that when you have black, it tends to cut in. When you have white, it tends to move it up. So it's more like engraving and embossing, so to say. So black means you are chopping into the surface, while white means you are adding to the surface. So it makes, though it's black and white value, so when we are getting to gray, 50% gray, that means the surface is just flat as is. All right. So once we have that knowledge, we can use that. So the other one is normal map, and the normal map makes use of a color information that is quite different, color space that is quite different from grayscale. It gives you more of a bluish, cyanish color, and so it just depends on whatever map you have at your disposal to know which of these to use. But the good thing for Corona is that both of them are found are used in the bump section. So what that means is that if you have the grayscale value, which is the black and white, you just need to add it as a bitmap. That's just all. But if what map you are given is the normal map, that means you have to add a separate map to before you add the bitmap. So, but in our case for this texture, it is normal map that we're given. So I'll just click on this bump, scroll down, click on the bump, this normal map, then this no map rather, it brings me to the map. So I want to go to corona normal, so double click that. I'm going to put the corona normal here, and this will quickly change some things because it's waiting for me to add a map. So I'm now in my corona normal, so I want to click on this input image. So you notice we have two sections. We have the input image and the additional bump mapping, and we're going to look at how to add additional bump to this guy. So this is where you put that normal map. If I click on this no bitmap or no map, I want to load corona bitmap. Then it's going to bring me to it's going to load the dialog box for me to choose the map, as it has always been doing. So let's just wait for it. I think while I'm setting, I have to just stop this so that it can allow me. Yes, okay, let me just pick this first, because rendering is also slowing this down. So I'll just drag this down so you can see the naming for this. This is Parquet Herringbone Wood. Albedo is color. This one is Parquet Herringbone Wood. It's going to be roughness, but this is what we're looking for, normal. So I click on the normal and I will load that. So while I load this, I'm going to stop this rendering so that it's kind of responsive. All right, I mean, I don't want let's see. So let me just switch to selection so that I don't accidentally move stuff. So now, because we've added this, you see that it changes the way this looks. Okay, so here we don't really need to do anything here because we're not tampering with this, because the value we have is a grayscale. It is not a grayscale value, so we'll just leave that as is. So we just come here and click on this go to parent once. So it's going to take us into the normal setting. So while we're here in the normal setting, you have a warning here. It says that the input image is probably loaded with incorrect gamma normal map texture. So is it now saying normal map texture must be loaded with gamma override to 1, or the add gamma option must be checked. All right, so let's just click on add gamma input, and once we do that, it's going to change the way it looks. You can see that, and that's the first thing we want to do. And then if we try to see what this gives us, okay, so let's just render that. Oh, sorry, stop. I'm going to render start IR, and it's going to render that section, and let's just wait for it to render, give us a feel of how it looks. So we have this, and then we can use this strength multiplier to change the strength of this map. So if we bring this to like 5, let's really drive that and see what it gives us. I want to see the difference or the change in the pattern of the render. So this is just me putting very large value, so we'll see what is happening. You can see that increasing this value is changing the map of the reflection. You can see that the reflection is following the pattern. You can see that. Let's make this like 10, and so you see even more. It's going to distort the image. So what this would do is it distorts the image, and the image, can see that the image follows the pattern of the wood, and it's just a way to make the reflection look realistic, so it doesn't just feel like no pattern there. Do you understand? So that's what that does. You can see the difference. But I mean, I said I wanted to go really high, so it's just to exaggerate this, so you see that the reflection are on those pattern and it's following the pattern. So that's what this is doing. So if I would want to change, maybe I want to change this to like 2.5 thereabout, and that is just what that will do for me. Just to distort it a little bit, you can see that somewhere here I'm having the distortion, and also at this back here, this top here, you're having a little bit of distortion. And like I always do, I don't my settings, I just make them subtle, not too much, so that it doesn't start becoming unrealistic. Do you understand? You just want to be subtle with your settings, so everything, yeah, that's the way I see things anyways. So now that I have this, it looks nice, but I want to go back to because we've now added this normal map, is now affecting the reflection. All right, so I want to go back to the reflection and still make the reflection more shiny than this. Now looks too brushed. So if I go back home and scroll all the way to where I have my reflection map, or click here, the glossiness rather. So I want to go into the output just like we have. Remember, I'll highlight both of them. I want to move them down so they are more reflective than being brushed. Okay, so you should see difference in this. You can see now it's more reflective here. And now that's just that's driving this. But the next thing the next line of action now is okay, yeah, you can start to see it being reflective. The next line of action will now change the trajectory and the look of this thing totally. And that's adding additional bump map to your normal map. So this is where you can now start adding more like scratch, if you know what I mean. So you have to have a scratch map also to drive that, and that will really change the feel, will really change the look of your texture. So how do I do that? I'll go back into the normal map. So just go back and scroll to where I have the normal and bump map. So this normal map, I'll just go into the normal map. And you remember I said we have two maps here, two inputs, the input map and also the additional mapping. So this is where I'm going to add that additional mapping. So I'll click on this, add a bitmap, because it's a grayscale value that I want to add. So in my additional mapping, I have some textures like this that gives me more like a scratch or something that's been used, a worn out map. So that's what I'm going to be using. All right, so I have a depth reflection. No, I don't want to have that. I'm thinking of having this, so I'll select or this. Let's pick this for instance. This will really show. So if I pick this and I click on open, it will change the way it looks. You can see, just wait for it to load. You will see from here. It's going to change the way you can start to see. So let me just stop this just to show you here. You can see what's happening, that we are beginning to have more like a cut into the wood, like maybe kids have used pencil or biro to just match on the wood. And you also have some section where you have this what's it called, you have your line being drawn. You can see that. So but the thing is now is that this looks too intense. You also do not want this to be too much. So what I will do is I will go out a little bit of this, or you can just come here. So I'm now in the map, this scratch map. So if I twirl down this corona bitmap under the output, there are two things I can do. I can either change the intensity from the output section. So if I drag this out, just wait for this to if I come to the output, I can either change the output amount to reduce this, or I can go into the additional bitmap strength and reduce from there. So anyone works. So if I come here, I can change this value from 1 to, like, let's say 0.3. Once I bring this down, it's going to remap and change the strength, reduce the strength of this noise. So let's just wait for it to update. It's trying to update now. So from 1, let's just wait. It's trying to update. You can see it loading. So now you can see that it's going to slow down because we are now driving a whole lot of information into this texture, which it has to calculate for. So you notice I've changed this output amount. I'm not seeing anything. So you also have your bump output. So I think this is what I need to actually change, 0.3. Press enter. Let's wait for it to load. You can see this is a bump amount. And if it doesn't work, obviously you have to go back to the parent. Okay, you can see it's worked now. So let's bring this back to 1 and see the bump changed. But I think I will not use this approach. I'll go and change it from the strength out there. Bring this, so I don't change any value here. So I'll bring this back to 1 and go back home. So this is more like I'm going back to the default value I had now. So I can go back home. Yeah, that's so now I'm home. You can see the additional bump. I can now use this to drive the strength of this guy. So if I bring this like 0.5 to start with, it's going to reduce the intensity of this particular scratch bump, not the whole, not the input image. The input image has its own strength. All right, so that's, we are not touching that. What we are touching is this additional bump, which is this scratch and this dot. That's what we're changing. So I feel that this still is much. So we can still go down. Let's try 0.2 and press enter and wait for it to update. Just want to have it minute. No, it doesn't have to be too much. Just a little bit of it, so that by the time we zoom out, everything will add up together, so you can start to see all those little detail which we didn't have before. And I feel this still is much, but then we are still going to see what it's going to give us. So I'm going to stop, close this, and close this guy also. Then I'm going to go into my camera. So I hit C into my camera. Now I'm here. So let's just do a render for this and see what the flooring looks like. And if you feel that that is too much, we can always come back to this additional bump and reduce that. So I just wait a bit. You got before you. I see nobody. Okay, so I knew that I moved something out. Sorry, I will just stop this. While I was trying to do that, I moved something out. So I'll go out of my camera to perspective. So this is what I moved. I moved this board. So I'll just move it back in position. Okay, so this board, I need to move this, is way too off to that point. So I will right click and make sure I have vertex on. Then I'll go to my hierarchy. I want to select affect vertex only. Sorry, affect pivot point only. So I'll just move this pivot point. So I also need to click here so that I'll be able to snap to that vertex. Okay, so I think we're good. Yeah. So now that we are there, I can click here again and we are fine. I'll turn off this snap so I can move this in position. So this guy is meant to come up over into this section. Okay, so I actually scale this down. Okay, so I will come to this place and move this here. This is how it's meant to be. Then if I go to my scale, I can scale this out. Okay, so I need to still move this guy out because this is meant to then scale. Okay, so I feel this still is much, so I'll just move this. Sorry, while I was in the texture, I'm sure something went wrong. Then scale. Alright, so I think I'll leave it this way. Move, and let's be sure it is not too. Okay, let me see this in relation to these guys. Okay, I feel it goes too deep into this stuff, so I'll have to move this. Okay, so this is fine. So I can go back into my camera. So hit C into my camera. So this is what I should have. So let's go back into this. Let me just save this as where is this? My living room. And okay, so while that is saving, I can come up to this and render start IR, and let's see what it gives us. So this section should be more brighter because of the board. So let's just wait for it. Okay, yeah, so it's coming out fine the way I wanted, the way I want it. So you can see the contrast there. So what I'm actually waiting for is this floor, so that I'll know if the stuff is too much, I can reduce. Okay. Trying to zoom in here so that I can quickly render those concentrated parts. I feel it's not bad. I feel it's good. Actually, it's not too much. The cut is not too much. It looks exactly as I want. I want that reflection. I don't want the pattern to be too much. But then I can still see a little bit of irregularity, but then you can see this section here. I like that, and also this, I like it. So you will not really see this detail because I'm rendering in a very small resolution. So for you to really see this, you need to render high resolution. Okay, it's very important to know that. Have high resolution rendering for this to play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this. I want to add my lights here, all these backlights, to lighting, have interest at this TV side like we did in your class, in your file. I want to add that and also create my, then once I'm back, I'll show you how to set the color mix so that we can start to turn off some things and put on some things, and then let me just put the lights and name them appropriately. Then I can come back, now set up that. All right. So let me pause this, shift to. All right. So sorry, I've gone ahead to model some things to add into the scene. So I've created a frame, put a light here, and then I also added this thing to this place. So if I go to my perspective view, I've created those lights behind this, which is going to light the scene like you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this guy, use my move tool and duplicate this here just to create that balance. All right, so I'm going to make it instance downlights 1, and then I have that. So what I feel I can do is to, okay, you can see this goes out, so I'll just move this a little bit outside so that it works the way it should be. So if I come here, I can go into my layer system. I have these lights. I'm going to group this first. I'm going to, sorry, open the group. I want to select this guy. Okay, so they are in the right position. So I have this light. This should be light 2. So I've worked with layer system so that I can have all my lights in one layer, all my cameras in one layer, and so I can turn them off at will. So let's just close this group. I have that. So I now have this stuff. So let me just go into my camera and quickly do a test render to see what I have at the moment. Okay, so before I do that, let me just save. Then we're going to look at how to put those lights into different, to mix them together so that we can turn them off at will. All right, so I will go back to my, oh, by the way, this thing crashed, so I had to, that was what I just said, I should just model those things. So I'm going to set this interactive render and see what I have with these settings that, or with this new element that I've added. I think it should add more interest to it, a little bit of interest, and then we can now go to the last thing I said I wanted to show you. Okay, so you can start to see that it's beginning to look quite different and interesting, unlike before now. So this is looking fine. I like the light, the way the light pops to the side, and it's making this place look more cinematic stuff, so it looks more like a cinema, and I like that. So what I feel I want to do is the color is too white. I want it to be a lot orangish than this, and I like this the way it is, but it's just this one that I want to change. All right, so what I can just do is, so for me to select them, I will just hit my H on my keyboard, and the H will list all my elements. So I want to filter them by light so that I can select only the lights. So I want this TV light 1, 2, 3, 4, because there are 4 in total. 1, 2, 3, 4. So once I have them selected, I'll press enter. It's going to highlight all the lights. Then I will be able to change some of the things. So right now, you notice it's not allowing me change. Okay, so I think I will just have to pick them one by one, because I think I did instance. So if I change one, it should affect the other one. So let's just come back here and hit H on my keyboard. Let's pick this first one. And so what I just need to do is come to this, change this and make it a lot more like a more orangish feel. I want to really colorize that so that it changes the color. So let's see the difference. So what I can do is to copy this color right here. So I have that color copied, and I can paste it on the other one. So let's just, while this is loading, H again, and pick the second one. I'm sure the second one will be the same, yeah, because that is so the third one will now be different. So it is the third one and the fourth one that so I'll paste this here. So I'm sure that the fourth one is also set. So, and this does that. But now what I want to show you is another type of light which I didn't explain to you, and I'll show you how to bring those light out. So if I bring my region, so you can see that part, yeah, it's going to look like I want. So I want to have that dark, that orangish feel here, and I like this one also the way it is. I just want to change the type of light that this is. All right, so if I come here and let me just do a render region and select this section that I want to render. Okay, so I will select this light. So once I select this particular one, I can open the group. So I'll just say open the group. So I want to be able to select the light inside. If I click here and see what is selecting this object, I might need to go outside this camera just to see. Let me just stop that rendering. So if I go outside my camera by pressing P, it takes me to the perspective view, so I can zoom into this section. So what I want is this light. So you can see at the moment now the light we're having is a normal light, and we don't want this normal light feel. So what I want to do is to change the kind of light we are using. So if I come to this place where we have this light, I can scroll down to change this light to a different type of light, and I can add a profile to it. And there is this IEC light that we can use to add a profile that to change the kind of light it's bringing up. So if I click on this none, it's going to take me to Corona's IEC folder. I didn't set this, the software set that. So you can just pick any one of them and see the effect you get to have. And if you don't like, you go to another one and see. So let's just pick one. And so notice the way this profile looks. So I'm sure that the light will not really bounce well. So I'll go back again and choose the second one down in 10. So let's see. All right, so I think I like this down in set. It's going to give us quite an interesting feel. So what I can do is to come to this and increase my intensity, because if I'm to check this now, the intensity wouldn't be. So so the good thing is I don't have to do this because I use instance. So while I'm changing this is affecting that. So let's render this light and see what it gives us. Then while we are rendering, we can come and start changing some things. What goes that way? So you can see the interest. You can see that this gives us a different kind of light, and I think I like this. So, but the issue now is because this light is closer to this stuff, it feels that this place is too much. What I can bring to this, instead of me having 2000, I can bring it down to, like, let's try 1000 first and see what we have. So the harshness would reduce at the top here. Okay, so we just wait for it. Okay, so if I go to the rotate, I know I rotated the light, so let's see the rotated value. So this is 3.3. Let's bring this back to 0 so that it's straight down, and let's see what it's going to give us. And we might still need to bring this down, so let's just try 800. And while that is still going, I can close this light now. I can bring this frame and bring it down. If I feel that it's too close, I can bring this one down just somewhere here, so that just to add that little bit of interest to it and make it look somewhat nice. So that's done. So the thing now is I want to create a system that will allow me choose these lights and decide to turn them on and off. Do you understand? More like I'm creating a switching system to turn off and turn on some light. So how can I do that? I'm going to be doing that in my render settings. So if I go into my render setting, there is this so let's wait for the dialog box to come up. I think it is time I need to save this before it crashes on me just like it did. Save. So my render setting is up and I want to go into the scene and let's see. So I'm going to stop this render so that it makes my work responsive. So if I go into the scene, I have option to set up my light mix. So this is where I'm going to set up the light mix. If I click on this setup light mix, it's going to bring another dialog box. Then we can set everything up. So we have instanced, grouped light, individual, all hidden light, including denoising. So it's telling me some things. We're going to use all these lights. And let's generate first and see what happens. So it's going to generate this lights mix, which you can see in this place. So if I click here, so light mix is currently not possible. So it's saying to enable add at least one light select to light mix render elements in the scene. Okay, so let's see where the problem may be. So if we come here, existing light select layer will be deleted. Let's see. So let me check other alright, so this is another place where you can bring up the light mix. So I'm thinking if I click here, so it's bringing the same guy. This is quite different from what's it called, Cinema 4D, which allows me to set up this and pick those things out. So let's see, let's render node. I want to if I go to elements, let's see, maybe it's somewhere here. Light select, render, include light not assigned. Okay, I think this is where we set up our light render elements. So if I come here, alright, so this is it. Let's see, include specified light source, include light not assigned to other light select elements. So let's see this first. If I come to this and I say plus, try to see what's sorry, trying to check. Include environmental light, which is the sky, but that's let's set this first. Corona light, let's see, corona light lobby. Are you sure? I'm coming to see. Okay, so let's add all this here. Okay, I think I'm going the wrong place. Let me just remove this. I think it's here. I'm thinking this is where the render elements are. Okay, so we have all these lights, but how do we, let me see, maybe it has added them, it hasn't added them. Well, I actually need to show you this so you can actually control the way your lights is interpreted, and you can turn on and off some things in the render element. I think it's here because the information is telling me I have to do this here. Enable. So these are the lights which we can turn on, and the sun is here, but now the sky is not included. So this is where we can include the sky, include environmental, which will include the sky. Open multi environments. So this will include the sky into this. Oh, I think I'll have to bring them into this place. So all right, so let's see. So if I come here and I pick this, okay, so we can start picking the lights. So we have the lights window, have plus, we have um, coronal sun, okay, so the light TV. So we have two of these guys in this light TV. This one we have two of that, and that also. So we want them to be together. Frame picture, we have two. Lobby should be one. Environment should be this. So the light mix. So this is the light mix. Sorry. Coronal sky. We have enabled for coronal sky. Okay, for this one, we don't need to have coronal sky in it. This we don't need to have coronal sky. Then light TV, we don't need to have coronal sky. Light window. This actually doesn't need coronal sky. You get that? Doesn't need coronal sky. And have all that. So these are just setting up all these lights that we're going to use. Okay, but I'm looking for a way to, I need to pick all these pictures together. So let's say this one. Okay, let's just leave them as this. Okay, so all these ones are display element, active elements. So these are the things it's going to render. So I think I'll have to come here and render, and then we'll see that light. So it has been set anyways, but let's just close this and render this right now. So once we render this, it should load the light mix because we have generated that, and it has generated it for us. So once this thing renders now, we can go to the light mix and start mixing the light from there to see what each and every of the lights, the effects it's going to play out when we turn on and off. Okay, I want it to clear up a little bit before I start going to the light mix. And remember I said that the resolution will be that high because I'm using a very small resolution, so it won't be that clean. So if we really want to see the detail, I have to change the resolution, which I'm going to do after this class. I'm going to up this setting and change the resolution so that all the details can be seen. I want this to clean up a little bit before I start looking at the mix of the light, because right now it still looks too rough. I like the reflection of these lights on the floor. It looks fine. And also on the ceiling, it's nice. Okay, I think here, this is where we can start checking if I go to the light mix, yeah, you see all the lights that we have them here. So we can now decide to say we want to start turning off this. So if I say I want to turn off this, this is the lobby, I want to turn it off. All I just need to do is come to the lobby, turn off that, and you see that that place turns off. So I can save up this shot. So I'm rendering one file and I'm saving up. I can have different mode for each of the file, and that is not just turning off. I can, if I feel that this light is too intense, I can come to the intensity, I can bring it down to maybe 0.5. You can see what happens. It reduces that. I can even change the color. So if I feel that I want to remap the color to a different color, so maybe a bluish tint, I can do that. And it's going to change that color there. You can see that in one render, I'm changing a whole lot. You get, I'm changing a whole lot in that one render. And with this one render, you can get different feel. You can get night feel, evening feel. You can say, okay, maybe these lights, I don't want them on, which are the picture frame lights. I can come here. So corona lights picture, I can turn them off so they don't come on. And if I need them, they come on. And if I want to render like a night render, all I just need to do is, okay, let's say I want to turn off the sun is off. I want to turn off the sky, so look for the environment, turns off. You can see the impact of the environment. So there's another light here, which is the window lights. I need to also turn that off. Once I turn that off, you see what I have. It's giving me more of a night, evening feel, and this light is coming up here. So you can do a whole lot with this. So if I have a bracket, all those brackets, I didn't put any lights there, so that's why. So you can see an additional light here, which you're seeing the impact. You can see, okay, so for the TV, once I turn off this TV, the top one and the bottom one, and it's giving me only side. I can decide I want to turn off the side, it gives me only the top. So you see the whole setting. I can even change the color. So maybe for this side, I want to change the color to blue, and just to get a different feel. Okay, so bring this up to that blue color that we want, and that will change that. You get that? So let me just bring this back to white. So I can just click on reset, or I can just bring it to white. So it doesn't really matter. Just bring this to white. Okay, so we're back at that color. So you see that in one render you are changing a whole lot. You are moving things, removing stuff. The picture lights, you can turn them off. Maybe you don't even want this, everything goes off. You can see it's only one light that's coming from. So I want to bring on the picture light and mix it with maybe the environment. And you see, and the sun, maybe the environment, I want to reduce the intensity of this environment. I can just come here, bring this down 0.2. You can see that I'm able to change a whole lot in one render. So I feel this light is too much, the picture light is too harsh. So I'll bring this also down 0.3, and so that we just have a little bit of it. And maybe the environment, you can bring that environment up actually 0.5, and it's giving me that maybe very early morning feel, that we are now coming out in the morning and that. So you have all these things you can set. I can bring this down also. So you also do not want this to be too much, the intensity, so you want to always remap them to make it look as realistic as possible. So the window is what is bringing the major light into the scene. You can see the window light. That's what's bringing this. And this sun is what's, so you know, it doesn't make sense to put the sun and there's no environment. Yeah, so there should be a source of light coming from here. And then if you add the window light to it, you can then set your window light to make it however you want. All right, so you can see what we are able to get with this stuff. I can bring the environment to 1, and for the sun, everything, I think that's fine. So we can see the floor, you can see everything is looking nice and smooth. Okay, so what I want to now explain now is we can also go back. So I'll just leave all the settings right here. You can also go back and add some stuff, some blooms and glare. And that blooms and glare is something you can use when you have light source. So you notice that there's a light source here. If I want to have all this star, more of a glowish, something that is glowing, I can use the bloom and glare to it. So right now it's not enabled. That's why you are not seeing any form of bloom here or glow from or glare from the glass or from the light rather. So if I enable this, you will start to see it calculate and then bring that out. You can see here. So there's a little bit of shininess here because when light hits this, it should shine. Okay, so you have that. And so let's look at the value. So you see your size. If I bring this size way up to 50 and wait for it to load, you are going to see quite a ton of difference in something here. So okay, I'm not really okay. So you can see from here it increases that. So let's just bring it to 20. Then you have your bloom intensity. So if I bring the bloom intensity way up to, like, let's say 10, you're also going to see difference. Example, in this window side, once it loads, you're going to see the bloom. You can see that, and also you can also see from here. So this, you also do not want to go too much so it doesn't look too CG-ish or fake. So maybe you want to go to 2, 1.5, 2. Then the glare intensity is the star, all the star you are seeing, like the shiny stuff you are seeing on the lights. So I can decide to say I want to increase my glare. If I bring my glare to 5, like this one now, this light should be more intense than you are seeing here. Okay, so see, this is more intense. You are seeing the lights more now. Alright, then you can also change the number of streak. Right now the number of streak is set to 3. You can change that, you can rotate that, you can blur your streak. So if I bring it to like 4, it's going to blur the streak even more and thereby reducing the impacts visually seen. So the thing with this is the more you change value, it's just going to load and you have that update. So I'll bring this size down to 5 and maybe bring this glare to like 2. It's just to change all those things around. Let's bring this to 1.5. And you see you have all these things which you can set. Alright, so that's what these bloom and glares are used for. So you can just check them out. So I'm feeling that the blurriness is set too high. So you can just check that out. So another thing you can also do is you have your sharpen. So what the sharpen does is just to make your image, so you get to see some blurry effects here and there. So but you can sharpen it even more. Most architects use this effect. You can sharpen this. If I come here and bring this to like 5, you are beginning to see that the image is looking really sharpened compared to the one we have. You see that it looks really blurry, especially here. You don't have, the edges are not really defined, so bringing this up, it defines our edges. And so you also want to find the balance. Okay, then you have your sharpen radius, which you can also set. From 0.5, I make this 5. You can see what this gives us. So let's try 1.5. I think 1 should be fine. 1 is too much actually. 0.7, and bring this to like 2. Just a little bit of it is okay. Then you can have your denoising. So the denoising is the final thing you do when you want to clean everything, all this noise. You can just clean them off, and then you can put a denoise factor or amount into it. All right, but the noise has been turned off from the render settings, so you won't be able to denoise here. So for me to be able to enable this denoising, I have to go to my render settings. So if I go into my render settings and let that show up, yeah, if I go to the performance, if I'm sure, if I'm correct, performance, no, I think it should be, let me see, camera, no, that's depth of field, systems, no, let's see scene. It should be in the performance actually, so yeah, it's in the performance. So you see you have option to fast preview render during, so this is under interactive rendering. So what we're doing is we're doing interactive rendering. So I can add the noiser. So once I add the noiser, and then it will be able to activate here. So if I click here now, it should activate for me to change. So let me stop this for a moment and check that again. Okay, trying to see other things I can change before I go back to that place. This quality, I'm going to, okay, I think I'll leave it there. I can actually choose tense, but let's just leave that there. And I have enabled this. This is meant to, all right, so since it's not allowing me to, so I'm just going to turn that off. But you get the gist. You can see how you can set your image and make it look nice. So I'll just turn that back off. Okay, so I have that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create another camera, maybe somewhere here, to get really close so that you can see the detail, all right, in the object. So I will go to my perspective. Come here. Let's just say I want to come somewhere here. And Control C. So Control C is creating a physical camera. Remember I showed you how to set this one. I forgot that this is not your system. So I'm going to go back to perspective. and go to my customize, you know, all these things. So don't have to waste your time. You can forward this. Just want to show you that detail. Alright, so I've created the corner camera, so I can just quickly go and put that corner camera into my camera. Okay, so I'll put these guys into my camera layer, and I have that. So in the corner camera, let me turn this off. If I hit H, I want cameras to show only cameras. So this one, physical camera, I need to delete that because I don't need that. I'll just select this one, click on OK, and I will delete. So if I hit H again, I have my corner camera. So this is corner camera 2. I'll select this. OK. So my camera 2 is on. So what I just need to do is I need to set some values. Let's say focal value. I really want to drill into that. Just somewhere here. It's fine. Then I will come and enable depth of field and override that. So let's see what this will give me. This depth of field. So you know that for this, just change your f-stop and that will do. But let's just quickly check what this will give us and see what we have. Then before we start changing these values. Okay, so you can see I still have a lot to do, but I just wanted to show you what I got out from it. You can see it's a lot, at least it's decent. I just need to work on this wall. The noise is too much and the intensity of the noise is much. It's so intense. I need to do two things here: reduce the noise pattern and also reduce the strength. But this is just how to create that. You can see even the floor, you can see that because I'm getting really close, those dots, the additional bump that I added is actually too much. So I need to go back and reduce that. So this is just how to do that, and I hope this is helpful for you. All right, take care, sir.